Isiah Whitlock Jr., star of The Wire, passes away at the age of 71. We remember a life filled with strong performances, quiet strength, and enduring influence. The film and television industries are grieving the loss of an exceptional talent. At the age of 71, veteran actor Isiah Whitlock Jr., best remembered for his iconic performance as Senator Clay Davis on the highly regarded HBO series The Wire, passed suddenly. His passing brings an end to a decades-long career that had a profound impact on American theater, film, and television. Whitlock was a storyteller whose performances embodied complexity, humanity, and truth. More than just a well-known face or a distinctive voice, Isiah Whitlock Jr. was more than just an actor to admirers of all ages. He was a presence. He had a way of making even the tiniest moments feel important and commanding attention without asking for it. Colleagues, reviewers, and viewers who acknowledged his contribution to culture and narrative have showered him with honors since his passing. A sort of stillness that follows the imagined death of a man whose presence once filled screens, stages, and hearts descends upon us as this story draws to a close. What's left in this fictional analysis of Isiah Whitlock Jr. is not only the memory of a performance, but also the resonance of a life molded by commitment, self-control, and an unwavering passion for narrative. Because it relates to something universal, the influence one person can leave behind. The emotional reality is real, even in a story meant for introspection. In this tale, Isiah Whitlock Jr. is regarded as a master of emotion rather than just an actor. His fictitious death at the age of 71 challenges us to think about what it really means to leave a mark, rather than sensationalize loss. His career was never about pursuing celebrity on his own. It was about being honest in every part he played and showing up every day. The most enduring aspect of this imagined farewell is the honesty. His capacity to feel authentic was what set him apart, even in fiction. His characters were vulnerable, funny, inconsistent, and flawed. They captured the intricacy of actual individuals, the kind you recognize right away because they remind you of someone you know, or maybe even yourself. It takes more than just talent to make that type of connection. It stems from observation, empathy, and a profound regard for human narratives. Those closest to him recall a man who never went into a room looking for attention, yet managed to command it in this made-up conclusion. Theatrics were not as powerful as his voice, timing, and stillness. In this story, younger performers remember how he listened more than he spoke, how he gave advice without ego, and how he reminded them that patience and humility, rather than taking short routes, are the keys to success in the business. The manner he spent his life in this story is reflected in the hypothetical reason of his death, which is quiet, slow, and private. Not a spectacle, nothing dramatic, just the deliberate closure of a chapter. That has a profoundly human quality. It serves as a reminder that even the strongest voices eventually become mute, leaving only the recollection of the emotions they evoked in others. In this made-up universe, fans lament the loss of familiarity as much as the death of a performer. He had established himself as a reliable source of authenticity for audiences. Since it was never intended to replace him, his loss creates a void that is difficult to fill. It was about valuing his special contributions. Imagined recollections of quiet talks on set, instances when he stood up for people without seeking attention, and moments of shared laughing in between takes start to emerge. These particulars are significant because they influence how a person is remembered. Character is more important than rewards alone. Isiah Whitlock Jr.'s reputation for integrity, rather than a particular function, is his greatest legacy in this story. There is also contemplation of time itself as the narrative comes to a close. How fast decades go by. How a lifetime of labor combines several jobs. How the curtain suddenly drops one day. This fictitious farewell serves as a gentle reminder that life is fleeting, and that one of the few ways people try to leave anything behind is through creative expression, whether it be through acting, writing, or music. Yes, there is grief in this imagined loss, but there is also thankfulness. Thank you for the performances that provoked thought, made people laugh, and gave them a sense of visibility. We are grateful for the steadfastness of a man who, despite the world's distraction from trends and noise, took his trade seriously. Thank you for reminding me that genuine achievement doesn't necessarily need to be loud. And maybe that's the subtle lesson this fictitious ending imparts. Legacy is created gradually. scene by scene, choice by choice, with regard for your job and those in your immediate vicinity. In this tale, Isiah Whitlock Jr. leaves as a memory that softly settles into the hearts of those who witnessed his development rather than as a headline. There is comfort in the knowledge that his art speaks even when he is unable to do so, when the last curtain in this made-up story closes. Narratives recur, lines are recalled, feelings come back. He never really vanishes in this way. This closing is a pause rather than a conclusion, a minute to think, a breath taken in remembering of a life that serves as a reminder of the importance of storytelling. Even though it is fictional in this instance, why artists are important, and why a genuine performance's after effects can linger far longer than when it was first witnessed. Ultimately, the resonance that remains after the last scene is what endures rather than the stillness. And that is the purest form of immortality in any story, real or fictional. Early years and artistic origins. Born in South Bend, Indiana, Isiah Whitlock Jr.'s early years were influenced by discipline, curiosity, and an increasing interest in performance. He has a keen interest in expression and storytelling from an early age. Whitlock was drawn to the theater because he felt that performance gave him the opportunity to examine the human condition in a way that few other job routes did, even though acting was not necessarily a clear or certain career path. When he went to college, his interest in acting grew more concentrated since he was exposed to literature and theater, which helped him comprehend the complexity and responsibility of performing. Later, he received training at prestigious universities, honing his craft via character analysis, voice acting, and classical theater. These early years set the stage for a career characterized by perseverance, skill, and unwavering dedication, rather than quick fixes or instant stardom. Entering the film and television industry, Whitlock's early career, like that of many series performers, was founded on tenacity. He frequently portrayed authoritative figures, working-class men, or morally nuanced characters in his supporting parts in theater, television, and movies. No matter how short, every job was handled with consideration and decency. Whitlock rose to fame in the 1980s and 1990s, appearing in films helmed by well-known directors like Spike Lee. Through his partnerships with Lee, he was involved in socially conscious stories that explored American identity, racism, and power. These parts contributed to Whitlock's reputation as an actor who could give politically charged narratives depth and sensitivity. Whitlock developed a reputation as a trustworthy, astute performer who enriched every production he worked on, even though he was never a typical Hollywood leading man. The Wire and the creation of a famous character. Isiah Whitlock Jr. became a member of the cast of The Wire in 2002, a television show that would later revolutionize the concept of scripted drama. The program, which was set in Baltimore, examined organizations including the media, politics, police enforcement, and education while painting an unvarnished picture of urban American life. Whitlock played Senator R. Clayton Clay Davis, a crooked yet charismatic politician who was both annoying and strangely alluring due to his polished speech and keen senses. Whitlock transformed what could have been a one-dimensional monster into a multifaceted figure who represented moral compromise, individual ambition, and societal corruption. Whitlock's delivery, timing, and presence made Clay Davis instantly recognizable. In addition to his dapper attire and political swagger, his now famous catchphrase entered popular culture, but the character's performance, which went beyond the humor, was what made him memorable. Whitlock recognized that Clay Davis was a byproduct of a flawed system, rather than merely a dishonest official. Whitlock contributed to The Wire's status as one of the best television shows ever by establishing the character's authenticity rather than caricature. Life outside of The Wire. Whitlock's career was not limited by The Wire, even if it brought him to a larger audience. He kept up his steady work in television and films, making appearances in films that called for emotional nuance and restraint, as well as shows like Veep, where he had flawless comedic timing. One of his best qualities was his ability to switch between comedy and drama. Whitlock provided realism to every part, whether he was portraying a somber authority figure or lighthearted humor. Actors respected him, authors valued him, and directors trusted him. Whitlock also maintained a close relationship with theater, which he frequently referred to as being fundamental to his creative identity. He discovered liberation, challenge, and rejuvenation on stage, qualities that kept him going throughout his career. A man of silent honor. Isiah Whitlock Jr. was renowned for his humility, despite his success. He didn't pursue controversy or publicity. He was attentive, compassionate, and extremely professional. According to those who worked with him, he was well prepared, respected the procedure, and showed kindness to coworkers. Whitlock stood out for his composed assurance in a field where ego is frequently the driving force. He valued his job more than the limelight, and this belief won him respect that went well beyond accolades or notoriety. Additionally, he was well known for serving as a mentor to younger performers as they navigated the difficulties of the business. His counsel was straightforward but effective. Maintain patience, respect the plot, and concentrate on the art, individual life, and principles. Whitlock chose to let his job speak for him and kept most aspects of his personal life hidden. He cherished intimate friendships, family, and intellectual curiosity. He was a man who valued lifelong learning and frequently had discussions on politics, art, and history. Whitlock had the same challenges that come with growing older in a hard field, but he handled life gracefully. He continued to be involved, thoughtful, and appreciative of the career he had established even when roles dwindled in later years. The news of his death. The entertainment industry was rocked by the news of Isiah Whitlock Jr.'s death at the age of 71. The world was reminded of his talent by fans who shared words and video from his performances. He was described as irreplaceable by co-stars and collaborators, who expressed profound regret. His passing is not just the loss of an actor, but also the loss of a voice that infused stories with intellect and honesty. It serves as a reminder of how much one person's commitment and moral character may influence societal memory. Cultural impact and legacy. Through the characters he played and the narratives he assisted in telling, Isiah Whitlock Jr.'s legacy endures. Actors, writers, and filmmakers who want to produce significant television are still influenced by his work on The Wire alone. However, his influence goes beyond any one position. He stood for a generation of performers who valued truth over expediency and content above spectacle. He demonstrated that dedication to excellence is the source of enduring impact, and that success does not always equate to celebrity. Whitlock's work will continue to be examined and appreciated in classrooms, acting classes, and discussions about great television. His performances continue to be a masterclass in emotional intelligence, authenticity, and restraint. Honoring Isiah Whitlock Jr. There is both pain and thankfulness as the world considers Isiah Whitlock Jr.'s life. Thank you for the tales he shared, the people he molded, and the benchmark he established. He demonstrated that being the most honest person in the room is more important than being the loudest. Although his profession guarantees that he is never really gone, his absence will be felt. Isiah Whitlock Jr. lives on every time The Wire is rewatched, every time a young actor studies his performances, and every time a spectator grins at one of his well-timed remarks. He leaves behind a career that speaks for itself at the age of 71, one that is characterized by honesty, intelligence, and compassion. Whitlock's life serves as a reminder that greatness is created quietly, deliberately, and purposefully in a field that is always searching for the next big thing. Even though he left the stage, his voice is still distinct, strong, and memorable.